morning, everyone. I am Dia Ghosh, and I am currently pursuing my bachelor degree from the Department of Chemical Engineering, Jadavpur University, Kolkata. And I am honored to work under the guidance of Shitanshu Shekhar Vishwas sir in the project formulation of decoupled transfer function and its tuning in vector control of asynchronous induction machine. And I am collaborating with Shobik Nath, who is also pursuing his bachelor's degree from the Department of Electrical Engineering, IIEST Shibpur. So, before we begin with today's presentation, I would like to give you a small introduction about the topic that we are working on. So most of the chemical process power and process industries have started to use induction machines as a prime mover. So before we start with today's presentation, I would like to give you a small introduction about the topic that we are working on. Most of the process, chemical, and power industries have started to use induction machines as a prime mover due to its simple and economic design, its low maintenance requirements, as well as its robust construction. But in critical industries like nuclear power plants, pharmaceutical industries, paper mills, refineries, we need to control the speed and the torque in a decoupled manner. But by virtue of construction of an induction machine, this speed and torque are highly coupled. So controlling both together in a decoupled manner becomes very difficult. To cope up with this problem, we can use an induction machine analogous to a separately excited DC machine, where all the electrical parameters are to be treated as vectors and are to be controlled so as to achieve control over the system. And to implement it, we have to so to achieve the same, we need to operate an induction machine analogous to a separately excited DC machine, where all the electrical parameters are to be treated as vectors and are to be controlled. So to achieve such control and to implement it, we need to handle three loops: one for speed, one for torque, and one for flux. And we need to have control over the entire system as a whole, for which we again need PI regulators and compensators. And this whole thing has to be inside a closed loop. So to operate any closed loop, we need to first tune it, and for tuning we need the open loop transfer function. But as we previously discussed, the three parameters, as I discussed before, like speed, torque, and flux, are highly coupled in nature, making the formulation of the open loop transfer function becomes very difficult analytically. So here we utilize the numerical analysis of a dynamic circuit for a machine, and this is done by using simulation. So in this video, we will be discussing the calculation of theta and the resultant rotor flux, which is psi r, using simulation. And these two calculations will be further utilized for the calculation of the open loop transfer function, which is the ultimate goal of our project. So let us begin. We start with the voltage equations for the stator side. Here VSD is the voltage for the stator direct axis, and VSQ is the voltage for the stator quadrature axis. RS is the resistance for the stator side. ISD is the current for the stator direct axis. Psi SD is the flux for the stator direct axis. Omega is the synchronous speed. Psi SQ is the stator for the quadrature axis, and so on. These derivations and the definitions of these terms have already been previously discussed in lecture number 6, and you can go through them for a reference. These are the flux equations that we will be dealing with. These two have been also have been discussed previously by Sir. And here psi SD is the stator side direct axis flux. LSS is the combination of LM and LS. LM indicates the mutual inductance which is caused by the rotor side and affects the stator side, and LS is the self inductance of the stator side affecting the stator part of the motor. Similarly, we have psi SQ, which is the flux of the stator quadrature axis. We have psi RD, which is the flux of this rotor direct axis, and psi RQ, that is the flux of the rotor quadrature axis. Now let's move on to the relation between the flux in the direct axis and the quadrature axis. Just a minute. So, as you can see, psi RQ, which is the flux on the rotor side quadrature axis, and psi RD are mutually perpendicular. And the resultant of the effects of these two fluxes gives me the instantaneous rotor flux of the machine, that is psi R. And psi r can be calculated by basic mathematical calculations, as we all know, which is the square root of psi r q square or plus psi r d square. So if you relate this with the y-axis and x-axis, this resultant will be equal to root over of x square plus y square. Similarly, theta, as we all know, is if you denote theta by the angle between the resultant rotor flux and the psi rd, then theta is denoted by tan inverse of y by x. So in this case also, if you correlate this with the equation, theta comes out to be tan inverse of psi rq by psi rd, and this whole tan inverse is multiplied with the with a constant to adjust the values accordingly. Next, we move on to the instantaneous torque equation. As you can see, torque is equal to 3 by 2 into pole by 2. P denotes pole, and we are working with an induction motor with number of poles equal to 6. So in this case, P by 2 will be equal to 3. Then we have Lm. As I mentioned, Lm is the mutual inductance, and Lrr is Lr plus Lm. And we have psi rd into isq minus psi rq into ist. Now let's analyze these two equations that we have previously come across, keeping in mind the following two assumptions. The first one being that the frame is rotating with a synchronous speed. So the synchronous speed, or omega s, is taken to be 0. And secondly, for an induction machine, the rotor is short circuited. So VRQ and VRD, which is the voltage on the rotor quadrature axis and the rotor direct axis, are taken to be 0. So if we implement these two conditions in these two equations, let's analyze the first equation first. Let's see what happens. So as you can see, I have equated VRD is equal to 0 and omega s as well as 0. So when I simplify, I get equation 1. Now in equation 1, if I try and eliminate the term IRD, I do it with the help of the flux equation that we previously referred to, that was psi RD. Let's go through it once. So this is psi RD, this is the equation, and here I would be rearranging this equation to get the value of IRD. So this is what I get, and I replace equation 2 with equation 1 to further simplify it to get this equation. Now after simplification, we next move on to simplify it further. We all know that inductance by resistance is equal to the time constant. So here we can replace LRR by RR with TR, or the time constant. So let's do that. Now, after we replace, we get our final equation, which is shown inside the box, and we will be analyzing this equation for our further calculations. If I follow the similar calculations with the other second equation, that is, I first go on to eliminate IRQ from this IRQ equation, and then I simplify the equation for VRQ, then this is what I will be getting, the one inside the box. And now, if I analyze these two equations with a block diagram, then this is what it would be looking like. So let's try analyzing these two equations one at a time. First, we start with the d psi rd dt equation. That's the first one. So let's go back to the equation. This last equation one is the one which we are going to analyze. So let's start. We start with the right hand side of the equation. Here we have three terms, one positive and two negative. So as you can see, ISD is multiplied with LM by TR. Psi RD is multiplied with minus 1 by TR, and psi RQ is multiplied with minus omega R. Now let's go back to the block diagram. So as you can see, ISD is multiplied with LM by TR and it's a positive term. Psi RD is multiplied with 1 by TR and it's a negative term. And omega R is multiplied with psi RQ, if you follow my arrows. Psi RQ, and this term is negative. Now these three give me the RHS of the equation, which is equal to the derivative of psi RD with respect to time. So in order to get psi RD from its derivative, we of course need to integrate it. So we use the integration sign and we integrate the entire right hand side to get our resultant value, which is psi RD. Now let's move on to the next equation, which is this one, the last one inside the box. Here also we have three terms, Lm by Tr into Isq plus omega R into psi Rd minus psi Rq by Tr. Two positive and one negative. So let's go back to the equation. Here, as you can see, Isq is multiplied with Lm by Tr and it's a positive term. If you follow my arrows, omega R is multiplied with psi Rd, which is again a positive term, and psi Rq is multiplied with the inverse of the time constant and it's a negative term. And these three terms form the right hand side of my equation and are equal to the derivative of psi Rq with respect to time. So to get psi Rq, we need to integrate its derivative. So we use the integration symbol to get our final result, which is psi Rq. Now that we know psi Rq and psi Rd, we can easily find out psi R, which is the instantaneous rotor flux, which is one of our required results. So let's try and plot this entire thing in our simulation software, which is PSIM. So this is how it would look like if we plot it on PSIM. So as you can see, ISD is multiplied by Lm by Tr. So I will be discussing how we got these values 0.1532, 3.7374 in subsequent course in my subsequent slides. So before that, let's just brush through this diagram again. So ISD is multiplied with Lm by Tr, which is a constant and it's a positive term. Then you have the next term, which is omega R multiplied with psi Rq. Just take a note, psi Rq is equivalent to psi Qr, it means the same. Similarly, psi Dr is equal to psi Rd, and so on. So omega R is multiplied with psi Rq, and this term is a negative term. Then we have the third term, which is psi Rd by Tr, and this is also a negative term, and all these three combine to give me derivative of psi Rd which is further integrated to give me psi RD. Now similarly for the next equation, as you can see, ISQ is again multiplied with Lm by Tr, and then we have the next equation, that is omega r into psi dr or psi rd, and the third term, which is psi qr by dr, and all this gives me d dt of psi qr, which is further integrated to give me psi qr. Now that we have psi dr and psi qr, as we know both of them are mutually perpendicular, we can find out the resultant rotor flux, that is psi r, and that is exactly what we do. So we multiply psi dr by itself, so that's psi dr square plus psi qr square. This is the multiplication block, the one with the cross in it, and we add both using this symbol, find the square root, which gives me the instantaneous rotor flux. Now let's move on to the calculation of theta. So theta, as I discussed before, is the tan inverse of the y-axis, that is psi rq, by the x-axis, that is psi rd. So here, we all know that when we divide the numerator as well as the denominator of a ratio with the same constant, then the resultant ratio remains intact. So here we can also do the same. We can find out the value of psi qr by psi r by psi dr by psi r, and that is equivalent to psi qr by psi dr. So that is exactly what we do. We use the a tan 2 symbol to find the tan inverse of these two values, that is the y-axis and the x-axis, and then we further move on to calculate theta by multiplying it with a certain constant k, and that is how we get a result. Now let's go on to the simulation. So before I begin with the calculations, I would just go through the simulation, run the simulation. Yes, so I've taken the total time of run to be 2 seconds, as you can see, and I run the simulation. So as we discussed before, we are analyzing the behavior of two variables primarily in this video. One is theta and the other is psi r. So we begin by analyzing the behavior of theta with respect to time. Let's see. So as you can see, this is the behavior of theta with respect to time, and I've analyzed this over a time frame of 2 seconds. Next, let's see the behavior of psi r, which is the resultant instantaneous rotor flux with respect to time. And as you can see, this is my desired result. You can also try this on your own. Now going back to the calculations of the simulation. I'll just zoom the video a bit. So let's see the inputs. We have ISD, omega r, ISQ, again omega r. So here we don't know the value of omega r. Let's see. Omega r can be found out by the speed of the motor from the motor sensor. So this was the given circuit, and from here we just need to find out the value of omega r. So this is the speed sensor, as you can see. This gives me the speed in RPM, or revolutions per minute. So in order to convert this into radian, we need to multiply it with 2 pi by 60 or pi by 30. So let's do that. Okay. So I multiply this with pi by 30, which gives me 0.1047 here. And then we multiply it again with the number of poles by 2. So that gives me into 3. So this is the value of my required omega. Next, we go on to check the source of ISD and ISQ. So we are sensing the current from our circuit using a current sensor, and we use a ABC to DQ transformer, and here the input is theta. Theta is calculated like I previously discussed from this diagram that we made, and this theta is input for finding out the currents ISD and ISQ. And this ISD and ISQ are further utilized for the calculation of my final instantaneous rotor flux. Now let's try and calculating these constants one by one. The first one is Lm by Tr, which is the coefficient of ISD. So let's see. To find out the values of Lm and Tr, just click on the induction machine, and there you get all the values. So let's start by calculating Tr, which is the residence time. And what was the definition of time constant? Sorry, not the residence time, the time constant. And the definition of time constant was LRR by RR. LRR is again the summation of Lm, this one, and Ls, this one. These m, small m indicates milli, so we just need to divide it by 10 to the power 3. Let's start doing so. We have Lm, which is 41, plus Lr, that is 0.74, 74. We divide the entire thing by 10 to the power 3 and further divide it with RR, which is this one, 0.516, 0.156, 0.156. So this gives me the value of total time constant, or TR, but I require the inverse of it. So let's find out the inverse, and 3.7374 is the coefficient of omega R in the equation, as you can see. Sorry, not omega R. It's the coefficient of psi RD as well as psi RQ. So let's go back to the equation. Here. So omega R, here, psi RD minus psi RD by TR. We have found out 1 by TR from here. So this will be minus 3.374, sorry, minus 3.7374 into psi RD. Similarly, minus 3.7374 into psi RQ. Next, we find out the next coefficient, that is the coefficient of ISD, which is Lm by Tr. So 1 by Tr is 3.7374. I simply need to multiply it with Lm. Lm is 41 by 1000. So 41 by 10 to the power 3. And this is what I get, 0.153, 1532. See. So this is this is what I type in here, 0.1532, and omega r is simply multiplied with psi qr. So here the coefficient is 1. In case of ISQ, I use a minus sign. I input a minus sign in front of the coefficient, just to compensate with the entire minus sign that is coming from the calculations in the default software. So this was all about today's presentation. Thank you.